You wake up Monday morning thinking it's going to be such a wonderful day today. You take that first sip of coffee. Does it ever taste so yummy? Then you look and you notice there's no internet. Oh my God, I forgot to pay my bill. Now I need to pack everything up. I need to go to the ATM. I need to find the office where I can pay my internet bill. Then I need to climb up a gigantic hill to get to my friend's place. So let's go. Shoes on, let's get out the door. Off we go. Into the heat. It's a hustle. We need to get this fixed. But this was only the first.
As soon as I thought that I was going to get everything done, God had a totally different plan. Now, when I say brain fog, I really mean brain fog, because I already have a hard time converting Canadian money into lek. And let me tell you, some days it's easy, and other days it just like right over my head. And Monday was one of them. The lady kept telling me, you still owe 350 lek. And I'm thinking, I don't have $35 left. My bank account is literally empty. How do you expect me to get $35 to turn my internet back on? And I'm thinking, I've got a teenager at home that is going to be completely going apeshit if I don't get internet back on. So I'm sitting there and I'm trying to figure it out, and she keeps going over it, and I keep putting in different amounts. Do you mean like, $3 and this cents, or do you mean, 3,500 lek? Do you mean this? And she kept going, 350 lek, 350 lek. And my friend's like telling me, that's $3.50, Carrie. You've got it. And I'm like, no, I don't. It wasn't 300. It was this amount, blah, blah. And we are going back and forth squabbling. Luckily, this is my good friend, and she understands my frustration some days. Anyhow, I text Digicom and I'm like, would 500 lek cover this? I only have that much. She's like, yes. I'm like, okay, I'll be there in 30 minutes. And I packed my son up and myself up, and we head back down that big hill. And I run into the store, and I drop the 500 lek on the counter, and I take the conversation, I scroll back up because I need the PIN code for her to put in. And I put it down on the counter, and I'm like, pay. And she's like, okay, yep. And then I grabbed a bag of chips for my son, which is 20 cents. And she gives me back change, and I'm still like blown away at this time. I'm blown away. I have to pay $3.50 to get my internet turned back on. Now I've already paid $15 before I went up the hill. And I'm thinking, I don't have enough money to pay the April bill. Lo and behold, my April bill was $3.50. I'm blown away. I got my internet turned back on and bought a bag of chips for my son, who troopsed all over the place with me that day, for $3.50. Wow. Anyway, I'm like, okay, let's go home. I can get my video edited. I can do all this. And my son's like, I can go back gaming. Woo! And all he wanted to do was get online to talk to his friends to game. I'm like, okay, let's go. I get in the door, we unload everything, and he goes to his room to start gaming, and I'm talking to my friend, and she's like, oh, I'm just gonna go, I have to go out to go get a few things. And it jogged my memory. I'm like, oh, I need a pepper and an onion. Well, my phone's not working, okay? I have no minutes on my phone, and I'll get into that in a second. So I run out, and I get my pepper and my onion, and I jump through the two stores and I don't see her anywhere, so I run back home. And I prep all our breakfast, or all of our supper, and I get it in the oven. And bam, the power goes off in the middle of cooking our dinner. And I'm like, oh, it'll only be off for like a few seconds. Not a problem. An hour goes by, and I'm thinking, power should have been on by now. Another hour goes by, and I'm like, okay, there's something seriously wrong. Power outages only last, a split second up to 30 minutes. Really bad weather, maybe an hour, maybe. If they're working on the lines or something, maybe an hour. This is going on to 2.5 hours. And I'm like, what is going on? I walk out to my hallway. The lights are all on. By this time, it's dark. So I walk outside onto my balcony and I'm looking at all the apartments. They all have power. I'm like, what? Why do I not have power? What's going on here? So I go to my next door neighbor and I'm like, hey, can you text our landlord and tell him like there's no power here? And so I wait and I wait, and time's ticking, and it's now 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, that's it, I'm going to bed. 9 o'clock in the morning, my neighbor comes over with the landlord on the phone, and he's like, well, did you pay your hydro bill? And I said, you haven't come to me. Why would I pay something that you have not brought to me? Now keep in mind, okay, and this is why I say that moving abroad, this is a reality check. Because you might hear from some people, oh, my landlord comes to my door and you just pay it. Others make you do the work. Mine's one of them, and I did not know. So I've now found out that I have to go to the building to pay my bill. But let's back it up to when I'm talking to him on the phone. He's telling me it's because I didn't pay my bill. I said, you didn't come to me, so how do I know? So he's let me look into it. My hydro bill is $7. What? Okay. You don't get a $7 bill in Canada. Okay, that's for an entire month. One whole month, $7. Crazy. Anyhow, he's like, let me look into it. I'll send my dad over. He'll be over in a few. So I'm thinking, I'm just going to take a little nap until he gets here. I wake up at 1 o'clock and power's still not on. Landlord hasn't been here. So I go next door to get my phone. Lo and behold, my landlord shows up right when I'm talking to my neighbor. And then he opens the panel in the hallway of the building, not of my house, of the building. And he's like, just flip this breaker. He shows me and he flips the breaker on and poof, my power comes on. 17 hours, no power. And all it was a breaker in the hallway. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, yeah. So to top it all off, while I was doing all that running around, and the reason why I had to run up the hill to my friend's place to use her internet is a few weeks ago, I let my Vodafone cell phone plan run out because it was a pay-as-you-go. And I wanted a contract, and Vodafone does not do contracts anymore with people that do not have a resident permit. So I had to do a monthly plan. But when I got Digicom for my internet, she said, oh, well, we can give you a plan on a contract. And I said, okay. She says, you need to wait till your Vodafone runs out before you can come to us for a new plan. I said, all right. So it runs out, but then she's like, oh, you have to pay your bill first before we can add more. I said, okay, I'll be back next week to pay my internet, which I forgot about. So the next day they cut it off. Lo and behold, I now find out that Digicom only has house line phones, not internet phones. So I have to wait until my next pay to go back to Vodafone to start up my phone plan again. So while I'm doing the running around, I have no cell phone to use. I have no way of contacting anybody to let them know that my internet's out. And then I had no way of contacting anybody to let them know my power was out. And by this time, I was so exhausted, I did not want to run back up that hill. So I asked my neighbor, and she contacted the landlord. This has been a crazy Monday. Crazy. That's why my video did not drop. But in the meantime, that video is now coming out next week because I decided I needed to bring you a reality check. And not a lot of YouTubers actually talk about this because they're talking about the landscape and doing walking tours around Albania. They're talking about how to get to Albania, but they don't talk about the reality of actually living here. And that's what I wanted to touch on. So these are the little things that will come up when you move. So be prepared. You will get over them. They are kind of a nuisance to try to figure out when you're struggling, and it would have made it 10 times easier if I had a working phone that day. But I managed to do it all on my own with a little bit of persistence and no cell phone. I managed to do it. It was a lot more walking in the heat that I wanted to do, and it was a lot more running around that needed to be done. But at the end of the day, I did learn that to pay your bills, you need a little digit code that the company will send to you. And you can take it into a little kiosk dealership as long as they have the picture on their front window of the bills that you want to pay. Luckily, I just have to walk about 4 blocks down to the ATM, pull out cash, walk back to my house, and around just like maybe 30 steps from my apartment is one of these little kiosks, and I can pay every single one of my bills there. So that is a blessing in disguise. So this apartment that I picked, at first I thought, oh, I'm not gonna like it. And I had a lot of adjusting to get done. But since I've been here, I've started to learn. I've got 2 grocery stores right close by. I have a bank machine down the street, which is a little farther than any of the other places I have to go, but it is convenient. And I have a little store that I can pay all of my bills, and I don't have to hop on a bus and go into City Central to get them all paid. Also, the bus stop is right close to my house, so I'm loving this location. I don't have beautiful views out my balcony. I see other apartments, and that was one of the things that I didn't want. But you know what? I can talk to my neighbors, and I have a huge balcony to this place, so I'm loving being here. And I'm absolutely in awe with living in Albania, even though I went through all of that hassle Monday morning and I did not be able to cook anything or have any power in my apartment until Tuesday at 1 p.m. I'm so grateful that I did go through that because it did teach me a lot of survival in this country. These are things that I do not get back in Canada, and it's changing my life for the better. So I hope that this video, that you just loved it as much as I do, and you like and you subscribe. And until next time, thanks for joining us. Bye-bye for now.